Has this happened to you? You forgot to buy a gift, or you're just broke? Well, I have the answer for you, is knitting. You can make scarves, hats, coasters or shirts, or even the occasional sweet little bunny. The best part is, all you need is just yarn, knitting needles, and a good amount of time depending on how big your project will be. So just follow along this video and you too can learn how to knit. The following instructions have also been adapted from the given websites as well. To start off, place the needles on your forefingers like this, and hold the tops with your thumbs. To start knitting, you're going to have to make what's called a slip knot to eventually make a row. You can make it by wrapping yarn around your fingers like this, and casting it upon a needle such as this. Make sure to keep the yarn quite tight, or else the slip knot might easily fall off from the first one. But after a while, it'll get a lot much more easier. Just simply wrap it around your fingers like this, and then cast it on your needle like this. Depending on how big or small your projects, you'll need more or less slip knots. Now that you've finished your slip knot row, you can start knitting. Start by inserting the tip of the right needle into the stitch on the left needle from front and back. Then wrap the yarn around the right needle from back to front. Draw the tip of the right needle back, pulling the looped yarn, then slip the left hand stitch off the left needle. I will do this several times so you can follow along. Remember, the tip of the right needle into the stitch on the left needle from front to back. Wrap the yarn around the right needle from back to front, then draw the tip of the right needle back, pulling the looped yarn. In order to finish your row, and eventually your project, slip the first stitch onto the right needle, like this. And then, you knit the next stitch as taught earlier. Then, with your left needle, insert it under the rightmost stitch and drag it over the leftmost stitch to make a single stitch, like this. This essentially decreases the amount of stitches, so you can essentially just repeat this until you essentially have no more stitches. Once more again, slip the first stitch under the right needle, knit the next stitch as you normally would, then with your left needle, insert it under the first stitch to drag it over the second one to make a single stitch. Here I'm demonstrating what will happen when you're working on a new row and you tighten the yarn too much. It might seem appealing because your ending product will have barely any holes, it will be very tight. However, it will also be extremely tricky to work on the new row as well because the loops are too tight as shown. Right here I'm demonstrating what happens when you knit and you don't tighten the yarn tight enough or too loose. It might seem a bit easier compared to tightening too hard, but actually the needles can tend to slip throughout the loops as well as create your project with a lot more holes as shown here. Here's the finished product, a coaster. Now, if you have more time, you can opt to make a scarf, or even gloves, or even a hat. Many instructions could be easily found online. With the right amount of time and tools, you too can create the perfect gift made with